Hello everybody, we are going to be starting in just a moment. Good afternoon, morning, night, everybody, depending upon where you are in this world. Can y'all hear me okay? Got a couple folks there in the chat. Thanks for joining already. I got a couple folks here from Germany, from Georgia, some other places. Thanks for joining. If you can hear me, please just type in the chat and let me know that you can hear me, and then we will get things started. Awesome. So today I'm going to follow up on a project we started last time, which is about a week ago, in our first Twitch stream. where we created a Angular application and we added a bunch of Angular material to it and a bunch of other features. Today, I'm going to add on to that based upon feedback you all gave me last time. People were asking for a bunch of stuff. I'm going to open up a document actually and show you some of the things that we'll be looking at. Let me switch this over. And then we'll see kind of what we can do here. All right. And we'll get the video set up. For some reason the video is not showing. And I think I can fix that. There we go. Now you can see me too. Cool. So I've got an empty window here. There were a lot of things we looked at last time. The first time we created this Angular app with material. And that was like the basic stuff we did, Angular material. There were some questions about how should we organize our modules. So kind of look at how we can organize our modules. Got questions about lazy loading, routing, authentication, routing guards, in Angular. Also had questions about how we host this thing and also how we can style it better. So some styling with material and maybe some CSS stuff. So these were just some of the things we looked at. Others were asking about maybe using serverless functions for creating the API in the back end. Others were asking about creating like an Express Node API. And then where do we host this thing locally? You know, host locally, and then also hosting it in the cloud. There's a bunch of things that I feel like we can kind of cover for a variety of stuff. If you feel on the way you have any questions to ask, the kind of way this kind of works with Twitch is you ask your questions, I'll answer them as we go, and we can kind of build this thing out together. So thank you everybody from coming here. Oh cool, we got some folks from the Ukraine, from Brazil, India, we're all across the world here. And some folks from Georgia too. That's just around the corner for me because I'm in Florida in the US. So today I figured we'd start by taking a look at the app that we built last time. If I can bring that over in VS Code. Here is the app. It's called Tour Heroes Twitch and had a bunch of stuff in it. Let's go open up the terminal and let's see if we can kind of run this thing real quick. It should be just ngserve-o, and then I'll drag my browser over once that loads up, just to kind of see where we left off in the application. All right, where did the browser go? That's always a good question. There it is. Drag it from here to there, and let's put it over on that side for a minute. And there it loads. We had home and we have a heroes list on this page. And the data is coming out from a JSON file right now inside of our application. So if we flip back to VS Code, we can see we've got this data service, which is hitting our heroes JSON file locally. So there's a lot that we can still do to kind of beef this thing up. So I figured we could start out by adding in a bunch of the features. Before we kind of get moving, are there any questions on kind of where we started or kind of what point we're at yet? Or maybe where to find that code? That's a good question, actually. Let me go find the GitHub repo. So we go up to GitHub, and we'll go into John Papa. We can take that and look at the repositories. I'm going to search for TOH. There it is. So if we look here, we can see at tourheroes.twitch or TOH-twitch. Is where that code is located. So if you want to start out with it with me, you can follow along that way. All right, so kind of going from there, let's jump back inside of our code. And if you have any questions, kind of just shout them out as we go. Obviously, there's a lot of ways we can kind of take this from here. I figured we'd start out by just looking at some of these. Maybe the best way to start is by looking at organizing some of the ng modules and maybe adding some other material features. There were some problems in my app last time that I wasn't truly happy with. The original structure is we have this root module down at the bottom, R-O-O-T, and you'll notice that I'm importing a lot of stuff here. And I kind of wanted to import HTTP here, but because the way I put my app together, it didn't really work out so good. because I had this heroes module up here, and the heroes module has HTTP because it's using it inside of the service. It gets really confusing really quick, like where to import everything if you don't have some kind of structure. So what I recommend is I like to create a module called shared and a module called core in my application. And to give you a sense of what that might look like, let me go back out to terminal. And let me go ahead and open some stuff up for that. Let's see, I've got another app. You're gonna get to look at what's here. I got a lot of projects. There's this thing called the Angular Event Viewer. So we're gonna go look at that one. All right, I'm gonna open up VS Code for that. And I'll try to put them side by side here. And we'll get rid of those and look at the tree view. So in this one, if we look at, I'll drag that out a little. If we look at this tree, we can see that I've got a bunch of folders. The core folder is one I want to reuse. Now in this core folder, I got a bunch of components and things that I'm going to use once in my app, like a spinner, one toaster, one navigation bar. And down below, I've got this core module. The core module is pulling in everything my app wants to use and use all over the place. So that's one way we can look at this. And this one's got a lot of stuff in it. I'm going to go show you another app real quick, which might help us a little bit better. I'm going to open this up, and we'll go back down to my Git folder. We'll sort it, and we'll go look at my NGRX app. We can do an NGRX one later on too. All right, so looking at this one here, what I'd like to do is kind of look at the structure. How many of you, when you're creating an app, go look at existing code and kind of see something you've already done and want to copy it back over? I know I do this a lot. Is this something you all do as well? So down here, we've got a source folder, and in the client folder, app folder, you'll see I've got core. There's a little bit less stuff here. I've got a model folder and a core. Hey, hipster. Yeah, I do that a lot too. I copy a lot of my own code. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this core folder into our app. Now, whenever I do this, I always first keep Git pretty clean. So local Git's ready to go. No changes there. I'm now going to open up Finder just to show how I do this real quick. Reveal in Finder. And then I'm going to open up a second tab in Finder. And just to make it easy, I'm going to put them side by side. And you can see a bunch of screenshots I've been taking. On the one side, I'm going to go grab my NGRX folder, and then I'll look for my source folder and my client folder. Can't seem to get to it. That's weird. It's like scrolled up too high. Here we go. And then go to app, and there's core. That's the one I want to pull in. And then over here, I want to go into our Twitch folder, source folder, app folder. So not always a great idea to copy and paste, but in this case, a lot of this is going to give us a great starting point. So let's drag core. It's not letting me drag, that's fun. Let's see here. Pull it over there, and drag core into app. And it went the wrong place. Awesome. I'm going to drag it back up to app. And there we go. Now it's in app. So we have core there. Now if we look over here, I'm going to refresh. Just make sure it's there. We've got the core folder, and you got a bunch of changes in Git. That's cool. We're going to start there, and then there's a couple images I'm going to grab too. We'll get those in a minute. But if we start by looking at what's inside a core, we can kind of get a sense of that. Hey, how you doing, Mike? You copy a lot of my code too? Well, that's fair, because you wrote the Angular CLI, or at least parts of it, and I use it, so I guess I'm copying your code. Thanks for coming in. Lots of good folks joining here. Jihara, see you there. And hey, from Paris, Joe. Nice to meet you. So over in core, I've got this core module. There's a bunch of stuff here I'm not going to want. Like, I don't want this toggle data source. We're going to actually pull in the shared module. We'll talk about that in a minute. I do want a toast service. Really nice to have something that like pops up messages. So I'll pull that in. We're going to go delete some things down here. I don't want any of this. I don't want any of that. And I don't want that. And we don't really need anything inside this constructor. That was just extra stuff. And that should be good. So that was what we have in core. I don't need this in-memory data service right now. I don't need this. I don't need that. I do want the toaster service. that's going to pop up messages to us, and I don't need that. So really what core is doing right now is it's giving us a toaster throughout the entire app, and it's going to give us some models for heroes and villains, and I don't think we need the app one. That was garbage. But we'll need villains and heroes, IDs, names, and sayings. And then we've got a toolbar. This is going to be like our menu at the top. We built one of these in the existing app, but let's go ahead and grab this one, show you kind of how it works. This is going to be called the Twitch Heroes. And down here we have two links. The first one's going to be home, and I can't spell, and then it's going to be home over here. And we'll have another link because our existing app has heroes. And we don't really need a footer, so we'll get rid of the footer. And we'll get rid of Ward Bell, my good buddy. And we'll take this and we'll put it back up here. Where was that down there? It was inside the div. We don't really want a footer. So cool. So now we've got a menu basically that shows the Angular link. It's got home and heroes, and it's got my Twitter avatar. We got some red lines here because we're not importing the material Angular toolbar. So we have to import that into our app. Hey Sandeep, thanks for joining us from, this is Joe's from Paris, gotcha. Nice to say hi to y'all. So that one's there. This index is just a barrel, we call it. So we actually import everything into the index, and then we export it back out immediately. So when somebody refers to core, they are good to go. So we'll need to make sure we clean up anything with a red error. And notice VS Code is telling me how many errors there are in each file. See that 2 right there? There's a 1. It's showing me there's 2 errors in there, 1, 2, and there's 1 error in this file. And we know about these, so we're okay with that right now. There are some errors in the SCSS as well, because we're referring to Ward Bell's avatar up here. I'm going to just get rid of that for now. Goodbye, Ward. And then there's an image I need. So if we go back to copy in the file, I want to go into the assets folder, and you'll see a JP and an NG. And then over here, I'm going to copy those over to this app. So we're going to try copy again. There we go. Oops, actually, I moved. Let's go ahead and paste them back so I don't lose them in the other app. There we go. Now our assets should be over in the assets folder down here. They are. So now that CSS is going to be happier. The next step is getting the shared module. Let me show you how to create one of these from scratch. So instead of copying it, let's go down to the terminal in VS Code. How many of you use the terminal in VS Code, and how many of you use it separately? I'm kind of curious about that. I do it both ways. And I got some questions about things. Is it an extension to show up with the errors? That's a great point. Notice here from Isaac, notice I've got Code Insiders up at the top. This is the Insiders build of code. If you haven't done this yet, I highly recommend you try out Visual Studio Code, which you can go to from this link. And on this page, when you click download, you can get the stable build or the Insiders. I actually get both. I use the Insiders all the time, and I have the stable there as a backup. The Insiders is like a nightly build. That way you can get all the latest and greatest features. And this error counting just came out very recently in the latest version. But we wanted to go and create a new module. So we're going to do ng generate and module, and then we're going to call this one shared. So here we go, ng generate module shared right in the root. It's going to create a new module. Now why am I creating this? Remember back in the root of our application, we had like HTTP client down here, and this one had material buttons imported here with the toolbar, but the material list is actually imported up in this module, and that's where HTTP is. It's a little confusing what's imported where. So what I'm going to do is I like to create this shared module, which is right here now. It's got nothing in it. And I'm going to put all of my stuff that I want to share across all the modules in here. It's really just a way to kind of aggregate all the things I want to share in my app, and then everybody's just going to import from this one place. So going back into my other app, if we go look at an example of what's in shared, you can kind of see what I've done. I'm actually just going to copy this file, and I'm going to paste it right into here. So here are a bunch of material things like button, card, icon, progress, slider, so on and so forth. I like them alphabetical, so I'm going to move the input. Oops. I'm going to move the input up right here. At least we try to be alphabetical, right? And then down here, I don't need this filter or reactive forms in this project. So I can get rid of this one. And I get rid of the filter down here. And get rid of my reactive forms. There we go. Any more red lines in this project? So Ardalis, can you show your VS Code extensions? Yes, 2 ways to get to that. One, you can click right here and see them. There's quite a bit, actually. And in here, I'll scroll through it slowly so we get caught in the capture. But you can also go check out my gist, which I'll put that up on my blog later today again. I haven't done it in a while. And if somebody else wants to find it, I've got a gist up there which shows, it's public, all the extensions that I use and all of my settings in my app. So once we have this file there, we've got all of our material icons and stuff in here. Notice it's just grabbing material stuff. So now if I go back into, let's see, I'm in shared. If I go back to core, in the core module, notice it's importing shared and there's no more red lines. So now everything in core is going to automatically have all those material things, which also means I can go back to my root module and I can stop pulling in material button and list and toolbar right there. And I really want to put the HTTP client module right there too. So let's figure out how we do that. And ideally, this is the way it would look. And up here, do I have anything else to clean up there? Yep, I wouldn't be importing any of the material stuff. I would be importing HTTP client. My heroes module, I really don't want to import material in there either. Instead, my heroes module, I should be importing what? The shared module. Notice it automatically imported it as soon as I entered it too. That is a cool feature of VS Code. So let me try to undo that, see if it works again. Notice I type in shared module, and as soon as I hit tab on this, right up around line 7 or 8, it's going to add that import statement for me automatically. I find that wicked cool. I didn't even notice that happened until a couple weeks ago. So, wicked cool. Yep, Juliet, thanks for coming and joining us. Yes, automatic imports are wicked awesome. So we still have a problem in here. It's not recognizing these. Now, once in a while you get these red lines because it's just not sure what's happening. But let's go back and look and make sure that we're doing this the right way. If I go back to core module in my other project, which, let's go back and look, or the app root module. Down here, you can see my app root, I'm pulling in HTTP. That's all good. And I actually did move the core out, didn't I? Let's go refresh this. Because I think I copied it back in, didn't I? Maybe I didn't put it back. Guess what? That's what Git's for. Let's go undo what I did. Screwed up my existing app. There we go. So this core module in the other project was pulling in shared. So was my my heroes module. If I go to heroes module, it also pulls in my shared module right over here. So the idea is everybody pulls in shared. So in this one, I've got core pulling in shared, and I've got my heroes, which should be pulling in shared. I no longer need HTTP module there because I'm going to load that down at the root of my app, which is really just a good practice because your app's probably going to need HTTP everywhere. And now we still got a red error there. What I'm going to do is go into reload window. What just happened there? Wrong key. I'm going to go into this one and I'm going to choose reload window. Once in a while, the Angular language service kind of gets out of whack and you need to just reload the file. Another way to do it is just to go to a new line and save it. That kind of makes the language service kick back in. Looks like someone here saying you need an ending HTML tag in the toolbar component. Let me go check that out. Good, thank you for asking. Toolbar component. I have material. Yes, I do, don't I? I must have deleted that by accident. Thank you. Good catch. Thank you very much. Hey, pair programming for the win, right? When I save it, there I go. Can't read your name because it's a bright yellow on my screen, but thank you. Yep, my cloud setting just up there. Thanks for sharing that, Isaac. And then, yep, need to close the toolbar, evox. Let's see here. A good post on when to use modules from Marty. Yeah, actually, Ward Bell and I wrote this post on the Angular IO docs. It's multiple sections inside the docs. We wrote the beginning of that. It's been updated since then. I'm like, when to use certain ng modules, when not to use others, and kind of how to organize them. I started by writing blog posts on my blog, but it made more sense in the Angular docs, so we made some pull requests to there, and they were kind enough to accept them. Okay, so right now, I've got the app module, which is pulling in the browser, HTTP, animations, my routing. I then have my core module, which is pulling in common, shared, and routing. Everybody's going to pull in shared, remember? And we'll go back to the other one real quick. We'll look at core, just to make sure we're kind of similar. Notice it's pulling in the same three things. Go back to this VS Code. And then Heroes is one of our feature modules. It's also pulling in common, shared, and Heroes. So we're looking pretty consistent right there. If we rebuilt the app, there's still a couple things we got to do, but if we rebuilt the app, we should be able to get an idea of what's happening. So let's do ng build real quick. All right, we'll wait for this to pop up. Get a quick drink. All right, wow, it's a lot of messages, huh? It always gets stuck at 92%. That must be Mike Brocky's favorite number. Mike's joined us here from the Angular CLI team for the stream today, too. All right, so once we have that it's built, that's great. If we serve it, it should still work. We really haven't made any visual changes yet, but we shouldn't have broken anything. That's kind of the goal right now. Do no evil. And that port's already in use. It must mean I'm already running it. Let me go kill any ports I have running. Yep, it's running over here. We'll just run it back there again. Christopher, yes, it always stops at 92. Something about that 92 with Webpack. I don't know. Sean Larkin, maybe he'll know. All right, there's our page. It's not done building, but it's launching. And hey, it's 90%. Hey, it just proved me wrong. Look at that, Christopher. The minute you say 92%, it goes to 90. Now it's launched, it's loaded. And why isn't it loading it in the browser? Let's see. I'll just go to it myself. There's the app. Something is unhappy. We have an error. Let's check out the message. Now, all my favorite friends can check it out. Okay, cool. Mat toolbar row is not a known element of Angular. Does anybody know what that means? Mat toolbar row is not a known element of Angular. If we go back to where we're using it, here is our mat toolbar right there. And if we go back into the error message saying it's not a known element, I wonder if it tells us where it's used. Like I knew it was used in that file. There we go. Not included in the module. Yep, absolutely, it's not included in the module. I was wondering if the error message told you like which file it was in. It doesn't really. But so basically the way I would do that if I didn't know where it was, I'd go search for mat toolbar like this. And then I would find it. It's used right here. It's like, oh, okay. Oh, and by the way, we're actually using it in two places. We don't want it in this component anymore because we're getting rid of this. Instead, our app module is just going to be the name of the toolbar, which is this one. So let's go to toolbar components. And we want to grab this selector. And we go back to the app. And we want to put that in here. And so we're going to have our app toolbar. Why isn't my Emmet working? Very unhappy my Emmet's not working. And let's go down, press save. Now it's unhappy about app toolbar. It's not a known element, so we'll have to check that out. But the app toolbar is the name of this component over here. So that's good. We have our app component using it. That's good too. In our core module, we're defining our toolbar component and we're exporting it. Now, is our root module importing core? It is not importing core. So that's something I probably missed here. So we go back up to app module. Notice I was importing core in the other app. It didn't here. So one of the reasons we got this error is even though we were importing it in the core module, the app wasn't actually getting a handle on that. So we have to import the core module here And if it doesn't auto import, you hit the command dot or the little light bulb, and then we can import it like that. And I just press save, it automatically formats. Let's see if we got rid of that error up here. I'm going to just hit the enter and see if it goes away. Now the red line goes away. All right. It should have automatically rebuilt. Now let's run and see what happens. Core module is not defined. It's like it didn't rebuild. Let's just kill the build and restart. So any questions there? Yeah, Impale, Christopher, Alex. Yes, we need to import this into the module. Yep, good call. The selector is in there now, yep. We don't need this many Chrome windows, but we'll watch it build. Chunks at 90%. See what happened to 92%? Used to be like that. Now it's having problems with styles. This was the other change I was expecting to see. So something I did in my other app is I had a lot of style. Love saying that. I got a lot of style. Now in this other app, I have a styles folder. I actually moved the styles SAS file into a folder called styles because I broke up my mix-ins and my themes from the styles. Did anybody else do that? Kind of break out your styles a little bit? Well, I did that because there's a bunch of styles and themes that we were using. So let's go look at our styles. Here's the styles we have in our app. Let's go just kind of mimic what I'm doing in the other one. Let's create a new folder. We'll kind of minimize all that. And you can see there's a styles SCSS there. We'll create a styles folder at the same level as assets, and we're going to drag our styles into here. Let's also create a new file for mixin, and we'll create a new file for theme. And we'll call them the same as the other app just because it makes life easier. Now in the other app, you can kind of see what I was doing with theme. I just pulled in a theme and I set up my own custom colors. Yeah, Julie, I do that too. Base fonts, variables. It just makes it easier to read, right? So in theme, we're just pulling in the import and then whatever colors we had. So before we had styles kind of doing everything. We're going to kind of break this out now. The mix-ins are something we're going to use in a few places. So first, this is going to be styles. That's going to stay here. But let's go back into our other project and we'll open up our mix-in. See what that looks like. So mix-ins is going to pull in like our themes. That's going to be our theme file, and it's going to pull in a bunch of mix-ins that we've got. We can grab all these for now and delete what we don't want later. That'd be easy. So there's our mix-in, because we're going to use a lot of these styles from the components we did. And if we go down to theme, we can kind of look at this one side by side to the other one. Do that and kind of go side by side. So here we can see that the theme, that's the mixin, we can see that the theme over here has nothing in it. We could copy these, but we're not using the same stuff, so we really want to change this around. You notice I got a comment up here about pre-built themes. We'll probably just use one of those, and we'll get rid of this custom theme that I was creating. And then notice that's really all you got to do, and I don't really need to pull in Mac Core, but we can do that. Christopher's got a good question. You've got a big problem with styles. How can I use SAS variables in my components? I need to pass the entire path. Yeah, we're going to check that out, Christopher. That's a good point. I'll show you how I'm going to do that because we're going to do that exactly in this project. So I'm glad you asked. So theme is the first one that's going to get loaded like this. We're going to use indigo and pink. This one had a custom theme. That's fine. Once we get our theme, we kind of go over to the mixin file. So let's do that. The mixin file just defines all the mixins we're going to use. We actually had a couple others over here that we defined. So let's pull those in. Pull those out of this file. And I'll put those in here. I'll go down to the bottom and make sure I didn't change them. Like we got primary color down there and primary background contrast. Actually, I think I've got those up there in the other project. Yeah, so we'll just replace those in case we have different colors. Like that. There we go. And then what's left in the styles is effectively just our HTML. I don't need this theming anymore. And notice over there, all I've got is import mixin. Do that up here. I've got some basic styles and then two separate styles called page content and router active. So what I've really done is kind of just taking and reusing some styles. We added to the ones that we had. Now the error we got, if you go back and look in the browser, that error was referencing the toolbar component. Let's refresh this and see what the error was. I wonder if we're still getting it. Styles mixin. Yeah, so it was having problems with styles and mixin. So over here, we had this issue. I got a couple browsers open. Let's do that. It couldn't find the path. So in the toolbar component, let's go into this one, and we'll look at the one file. We'll go back up to toolbar and core. You kind of get to see live how we can migrate some code over. This file was referring to go back 3 times, then go to styles, then go to mixin. So what we did here is we went back 1 to core, 2 to app, 3 to source, then up styles, and up to mixin. It did that because somewhere in here it was using mixins, or at least that's what we thought. Somewhere in here, maybe I'm not seeing it. But that's how you can reuse mixins and whatnot across your files. But there's one big thing, and I'm surprised Mr. Brocky didn't tell me about this. In the Angular JSON file, this Angular CLI JSON, we told Angular that the styles are all in this file. That is not the case. What I'd like to do is point out how you have to change this. We have to tell Angular CLI where this is. So I'm going to grab 2 settings, go back over here. This is what we had, styles, SCSS. We're changing that to be, hey, instead of that, I want you to go get the styles out of the theme, mixin, and styles SCSS like that. And then we have to tell it to pre-process the styles inside of a different folder. That's how you can move the styles to your own custom folder. And I could have left them in the root, and if I did that, I wouldn't have needed this. So by doing that, once you change your Angular JSON file, you have to kill the build and redo it. That's the one file you really can't watch with the Angular CLI. So New Woo 76, thanks for joining. Make a class and you can use the variables. Absolutely. Once you make a class, you can reuse those variables inside the app. And let's watch it build. We'll actually do this. There we go. Kind of see it side by side. Emitting, compiled. And hey, look at that. Our styles are back. Let's see if we got any errors. And couldn't find home. That's okay. We can deal with that. And let's see the network. Let's reload it just to make sure we get any network traffic issues. All right. Couldn't find hammer.js. We can deal with that too. And if we go to heroes, we have a bunch of errors. Oh no, the whole thing broke apart. Mat list items not a known element. Hey Impale, how you doing? I like that face. Great job on that one. So it's telling me here that it can't find mat list item. We had this similar one before. If we search for mat list item in the project, you find the heroes component is using that. And it's red because it doesn't know where the heck that thing is. So let's get rid of these. Where are we putting all of our shared material modules? Right here in shared. So now I can just come through here and I can say mat list, and don't forget the module part, like that. And it should have automatically I actually put it in the imports. It should automatically come down here now. I can tap it in there, tap it in here. It's a 3-timer. By the way, you want to see something cool? Of course you do. Let me get rid of those. Imagine we didn't have all 3 of those. So I know that this variable exists 3 times inside of VS Code. I'm going to make this a little smaller so we can see it in 3 places. Right there, I'm going to highlight it, the input, because I want to put the list right after it. Do Command D, and then it's now in line 21 with my cursor. Command D again, and now it's down in line 32 with my cursor. It's called a multi-cursor. I'm going to hit the right arrow twice, hit enter. And then I'm going to type mat list module, tab, comma, escape. And now mat list module exists up here, and down there. I think that's pretty cool. I love the multi-cursor. All right, so now I can refresh. Hopefully it's been rebuilding. We should go to heroes. And yay, woo! Our heroes are loading. So this is a good time to commit, don't you think? We added a bunch of styles, and ng modules are now organized. All right. Okay, so you're like, first you're like, hey, that's great. We wrote like a bunch of code for half an hour and we have the same exact app that we had before. Looks no different, right? Why don't we change this around just a little bit? Now let's add in a little bit nicer looking list, right? So let's see. Over here, we've got a bunch of new material stuff. We've got cards and icons and inputs and all this other stuff. In that other app, if we go back into my heroes, you gotta learn how to spell, John, heroes list. I'm going to the HTML. You're gonna see a list of heroes here with a card and everything. I'm gonna grab this material card right there. Notice it's got like a list right there and it's got deleting and stuff. We're not gonna do everything this got, but you know, we can copy some stuff out. Let's go into our heroes list right there. And we're gonna put it all inside of this div just to make life happy. We're gonna get rid of this one up here in just a moment. We're not gonna need the heroes header either. Now we've got our heroes. By the way, get rid of lines. I'm hitting Command X to kind of delete lines at a time. We're not going to do the onSelect yet, so let's just get rid of the click method. We don't have that yet, that's why it's red. And eventually we're going to do, let's change the class selected to something, but we'll go to that for now. And we've got a delete button, which we'll keep the delete button, because we'll add that later. More stuff to do, right? So I got rid of all the methods that it's supposed to call. And now I've got this card inside of the div that's there. Now the key to this is making sure that all the styles transferred. It may or may not have. Let's take a look at what happens when I click on Heroes now. Now we got some weird CSS kind of going around. This is where it gets a little weird with the CSS because part of the problem here is the styles aren't coming through. And part of the problem is that we're using Flexbox in some of the CSS. And notice we have no CSS in here. When I copied this HTML, I did not get the CSS. So we should go over here. We should grab our CSS from this one. It's actually using a mixin. We had a question on this earlier about how we grab mixins. And then we can also go to, I think it was Heroes Component, CSS, and we've got these containers. I don't think we need the control panel. That was something else, but we'll grab it for now. So now we've got those CSS files, and let's go back into here, and voila! How do you like that? Does that look a little bit better? Okay, so all we did there was we pulled in our map card, which means we can come through here now and get rid of what we had. Let's do that. Cool. And then the other thing I did is I added a whole bunch of CSS over here. I don't think we need control panel. Let's get rid of that and find out. I like to delete code. Yay, home, heroes. All right, so we've got our CSS going. Is everybody happy with that? Thing of beauty, yes, Josh, isn't it? This is about the extent of my CSS skills, by the way. So once we have this, that's cool, but there's something that's bugging me. Does anybody see this heroes up top? When I go to home, it's home, and when I go to heroes, it's heroes. That tells me I've got a problem with my routing. So let's take a look at this. Back in our code, we've got a default path. We have home. We say when you go to heroes, go load this lazy loaded module. Let's go find that. In this lazy loaded module, the default one goes to heroes. So what's happening is when you go to heroes in the root, the app module saying, yeah, heroes means go here. And then it says by default, when you see it blank after heroes, add another heroes to it, which is kind of silly. So the easy way to fix that is to do something like that. Now we're saying when the path is blank, because it's tacking on to heroes, which came out of the root module. Let me put this up side by side so you can see it. We'll do right click, open to the side. So here we're saying in the root, when you go to heroes, then go to this other module on the left. That's not the module on the left, is it? Yes, it is. It's just hard to see. There we go. And that one says tack on, when you see blank, the full match path, it's saying when hero slash is there, then go to heroes component. So now, if I go to home, when I go to heroes, it just says home and heroes. Pretty easy. Impale 987, yes, fix the routing feature. Julia, good catch, yep. Fix the routing feature. All right, fix the routing, because Julie and Impale said to. There you go. You made it into my commit notes. You're there forever now. So once we have those in place, there's a lot of other stuff we could do in the app. Like now we've got the app coming up and running here. We had some notes. Let's go back to Sublime. If I can find Sublime, that would be great. There it is. We kind of organized our modules so we can say, check. We got some lazy loading. We can add more later though. I think some cool stuff we could do. And let's see, what else can we do with this? We could host this thing. We did some styling, so we'll kind of check on that one, right? What else we got? Node API, host it locally in the cloud. Why don't we create a local node server? How's that sound? Like we're running inside of a web dev server right now. Like notice when I go here, when I first run it, somewhere in this message list, it tells you, hey, you know, you're running in a local web dev server. That's not a great idea to run for production. So what we could do is create a new node server. A couple ways to do this. Let's go kind of the easy route first. Inside the root, let's just create a new file. One way to do that is just hit Command N. There's a new file. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to call it index.js. Well, yeah, we'll go JS instead of TypeScript. Make it easier. And there's a couple ways to grab this. I'm going to go out here and we're just going to Google Node Express. Hopefully we don't find one of my blog posts. Usually what happens when I'm coding. Node Express simple HTTP server. There's a couple examples out there. This one's on the Express site. It looks like I've been here before. Let's try this one. There's a code sample. That looks like fun. And it's using Express. How about we grab this one and we'll modify it. So notice we're grabbing HTTP. I don't want HTTP though, I want to use Express. Is Express in here somewhere? Yeah, that's what I want. Let's get rid of that. All right, so I pasted in, I got Express, we'll have to go get that, so let's do that now. Do we have package.json? We do. So we can do npm install express -- save. Install is one word last time I checked. Yeah, Impale, you're right. You caught it before I did. This is the one without express. Yeah. I was copy paste happy. Also, I don't want to do port 3000. I want to do this. I want to do process.env port or 3000. What this will do is if I'm running with environment variables, it'll grab the port from there first. If I didn't set one up, I'm going to use port 3000. That's just kind of the way I like to do it. Then we're saying if you get back something, we're going to say hello from Express. We're going to say hello from Twitch Heroes. And then down here, if something bad happens, we could return it out, and we're console logging, and we're going to use our port. Let's go back and look at that article and make sure there's nothing else that's too exciting in here. Here's one with some more stuff. Here's one with an error handler. They're using lambdas, rendering HTML. Yeah, we could configure Express to allow the static dir. That's what I was looking for, is why that wasn't in here. I know I grabbed this exact one from here another time, because that's why I had the link. Let's go back a page for a minute. I think this one shows it too. Bam. That's just listening, that's just getting. And for now, that's what this is going to be. But we need that static folder file. So what we're going to do is go look at some existing code. And we're going to go back to one of my other projects. Yeah, it's app use express static. Thank you for that, Impale. That's not the file I wanted. I wanted index server. got a more involved one here. Let's see if I can make that go full screen. So you can see here I did a bunch of other stuff in this one. We're not going to need all of this, but let's go ahead and grab some pieces of it. Like what I like to do is set up a variable called public web, which if you don't specify will be where we're going to serve it from. So we could say serve from dist. Yep, you got that there too, MPL. Yep, serve from dist. And we're not going to do body parser yet because we're not going to do an API just yet. Then we need that statement. Was the app use static? We don't really need this console, but we'll grab it. So we'll do that. And we don't need API, and then we're going to send back a file or index.html. So what we're going to do is get our student this. We're going to say, hey, if anything comes through here, we're going to return back index.html for now. We could put more complicated logic in. We'll do that a little later to have like fallback routes for just the right content that we want. We need this though, because what if somebody goes to /heroes? That's not a file on the server. So I'm going to return index.html. And we're done. We're just going to listen. We're going to get rid of this something bad happened. We're going to say listen here, and we're going to say our app, we'll say listening on HTTP port, whatever. So if that worked, I should just be able to say node. And wow, I typed index and it did that. Node index. It's not finding my file. I bet you I put it in the wrong folder. Let's go find it. Index, where did you get put? Source app index. Yeah, that's not where it belongs. Source app, and it's not showing up, so I have to hit refresh. And there it is. Put it back down in the root. Let's see if it finds it. Node index.js should run, serving on 3000. It's not serving anything yet, but we should be able to go up here. There we go. You can't find the file just yet. Cool. So why am I serving on a dist, Impale? Since you seem to want to go to dist, and that's the right place to go. But notice I don't have dist. Next step would be to what? ng build, maybe I could do prod. So this way I'm building out the production version of my application. It's actually going to stick everything inside of a folder called dist on my machine. And once it does that, exactly, because I'm going to do a prod build. Once it does that, I'm going to start up the node server, and it should be serving everything in the dist folder. So we'll have to make sure we got the right paths and stuff set up. Paths are usually the number one thing we can all screw up on. All right, it's building our modules. That's great. A production build will take a little longer, by the way, than a regular build, because it's got to do like cache busting, and it's got AOT, which is ahead of time compilation. And this one gets stuck on 92. Look at that. The other one's on 90. It's playing head games today. All right, so let's pop that up. Come on, you can do it. Get past 92. Everybody vote for it to get up. Encourage it. Let's all yell at Mike Brocky. Tell him to make it faster. Mike's on the chat here. He's a friend of mine on the CLI team. Cool. So we got the dist folder now. So now we get the dist folder. It's got all of our stuff in there. Index.html, here is JSON, everything we need. Does it have our styles? Yep. There's our styles file. And our index file is right in the root. So now if I run node index.js, Mike Brocky crying. Awesome. I made Mike cry. If I run, look, my app runs, and it's running off a node this time instead of a development server. Very cool. So that kind of gets us to, wow, that's not what I thought it was. That gets us to running an Express Node app. We host it locally. Lots of other things we can do. So let's take this one there. We've got our Angular app material. Check. What haven't we done yet? We've done our CSS. Do I git ignore my dist folder from Marty? 100% absolutely. So there's my dist folder. It's right in the git ignore. In fact, if you go check out the Angular CLI, when it creates a project for you with ng-new, it sets this git ignore file up for you. So absolutely, yes, ignore your git folder. your dist folder. Why? That's your compiled assets. Instead, I would use a CI program. Like in a real big app, I'd use a CI program to do my build, create a Docker container, and move that all over into the cloud. So that brings up another point. I remember folks asking for CI, CD, and Docker. So that's other stuff we can do as well. We have about 20 minutes left today. I'm trying to think of what we could do in 20 minutes with the rest of this. One thing we could do is like show you some of the cool features. Oh, let's go put that in. Let's do that there. That's committing our node server. I don't know if any of you saw, but today there was a new feature in Azure. You go up to Twitter. Some really cool engineers, friends of mine at Microsoft, which is where I work, wrote this. Let me see here if I can find it. It's part of the CLI. Where is it? Live on Twitch. That's it. So I put this tweet up there today about a new feature in the CLI to deploy the Node app. Basically what you can do is you can say AZ web app new, then the name of the app, and it will deploy it up to Azure for you. It's written by a couple of the engineers in the team, a friend of mine, Ahmed, here, and I put in there some other folks who wrote it as well in the chain of the tweet. It's really cool. So if you click on this link, you can kind of see how he's building this. Now, if we go back to posts, let's see here. This is the one I posted. And if you go look at his blog post, what you need to do is you need to install the Azure CLI extension. Okay, I'm going to click on that. That means I also need to install the actual Azure CLI. So I'm going to go over here to Azure CLI on Mac. And actually, this is a new laptop. I've got another one over here. This laptop right here. It's when I wrote that blog post with this morning, or sorry, the tweet. And that one's got it already there. For this one, you can install it using Brew. Let's try that real quick. Installing the CLI. Says it's already up to date. It says I have 2026. If I do Azure version, it says I have 2020. Yeah, I think that's a bug. I have some kind of a screwed up version on my machine. It's not going to work unless I can get 26 on this machine. Let's walk through the steps real quick. So let's see. After we do that, do some troubleshooting about Python. Yeah, I got Python ready. Back on the extension, if you go back to the blog post, all you have to do to add it once you've got the latest version of the CLI is run this command. They basically wrote extensions, like VS Code has extensions that you can run, and I'll show some of those. You can actually have extensions for the Azure CLI. So once that, if I had the right version on my machine, I'd run AZ extension add and the name of it. I hit enter. Right now it's saying it can't find that extension because I have the wrong version of the CLI on my machine. And I don't think I can hook up to my laptop other than holding it in front of my camera right now. So that sounds like a great thing to do. Maybe I'll do a Twitch stream tomorrow too, if folks are up for it, and just show how to use just this one feature. Did you guys like that? To see how you can actually use this? I just got to get my other laptop hooked up here. There's a reason I'm switching laptops. All right, so once you get that, all you have to do to run an app is you literally just say AZ, web app, new, and then you give it a name. You say that, go ahead and deploy the thing, we'll call it foo1, that's in my folder. It'll package up the Node app in my folder and upload it directly up to Azure. Yeah, if you can't catch it tomorrow, Julie, no worries. I'll see if I can do it tomorrow or Friday. Let me check my schedule quick. But either way, I take all the episodes from Twitch and I upload them up to YouTube. So you can watch those later on too if you want to. All right, so once we get this one, go back, you can kind of see. If you want to get an idea of what it does, if you watch this little screencast I did over here, I'll kind of go, so I can go full screen on it. I don't know if that's going to work. Yeah, it's not working so great. So if you go check out that tweet, just look at my timeline, I tweeted it today. You'll see here, it's pretty simple commands. Kind of going through it. First, I created a new folder, created a Node app. I installed the CLI. I added the extension, I opened up code, and I just created a quick Express app. Once I create the Express app, which is a very simple app, I installed Express too, because I forgot to do that originally. All right, now I have Express. And then after that, I pasted in a little bit of Express code. It's kind of like what we just wrote a few minutes ago. And then once that's there, let's see. I did AZ web app new. And then I give it a name. So I say -- name, and I called it node 101. Now what this is going to do is it's going to go up to Azure. You have to have an account in Azure. And there's a free link you can use for free trials to check these out. I'll actually go get that while we're talking here. And then just launches it in the browser. You can say go to node-101 in azurewebsites.net, and that actually should work right now. If I go to node, yeah. See if it's still there. Yep, that's the one I did this morning when I did the tweet. So very, very simple to do. There's also a link. I think it's free Azure trial. Oh gosh, I can remember the syntax for this link. Azure free. I'll find that real quick and I'll put it into the chat of this as well. Go ahead and grab a tab because I know it's somewhere over here. And I can go find that link real quick. And once I do that, I can give you a link. So that way, if you don't have Azure, you don't have an Azure account, you can go ahead and hook that up. That'll make your life a little bit easier. Let's see if I can open up PowerPoint because that will actually show us a slide that has a link on it. If I go into my last presentation I did, let's see here, and we go up to recent new share. I'm going to open a folder. Bear with me just one sec and I will get it for you. On my Mac, go to my last presentation, and it's opening it. I don't want you to have to worry about paying for it right now, so we're going to go ahead and show you a free link. Who doesn't like free, right? Oops, what is it? So if you go to azuremicrosoft.com, ENUS free, right there, I'll go to the link right now. You can sign up for 12 months of free and do this. So you'll need to have an Azure account because when you go through the steps here that we outline in this tweet and then in my friend Ahmed here, his blog post, it'll walk through and create, it'll connect to your subscription so you can deploy it up there and then use it in app service. So it's pretty cool. It defaults a lot of things. If you've ever created an Azure website manually, you'll know there's a lot of options. You can pick the plan for your web server. You can pick the resource group that you put it in. You can pick, do I want Node or PHP or Ruby or a bunch of other things. What this is doing is it's figuring out a lot of that stuff for you using smart and intelligent defaults. So the idea is I don't want to remember 20 flags. I just want to take the Node project that's in my folder. I want to take it and zip it all up and shove it up on the Azure cloud and have it launch it inside of a browser for me, which you'll go launch it yourself. Open up the browser and be able to run that app. And it uses a bunch of intelligent defaults. So if you look at this screencast, if I pause it, which I did there, you'll see it created the app, but it's also setting up a few defaults for the app. So if I went and showed you my portal, let's see if that's safe. Are there any secrets in my portal? I'll kind of show you what the defaults were for that app. Let me do this off screen real quick, and I'll share it with you so you can see how it happens. All right, so inside the project, I'm going to go to my app services in Azure, and I'll show you what it created. Node 101. And I think all my keys are hidden. They are, cool. So I can show this to you. So here's a bunch of stuff that I have up on Azure. This is this project called Node 101 that I created today. And you'll notice my keys are commented out, but there's the URL we just went to. What it's actually doing under the covers is you'll see there's an app setting. This is where we could set environment variables if you wanted to. It automatically chose Node version 8 for me. We can change all of this, that's fine. But by default, it's like, look, I know you're using Node, and I know you have a startup file called index.js. Let me just run with that. So that's what it started with. And then in my project, one other thing that's helpful is if you don't want to set startup files, what you can do is come down here and do start inside your package.json. And you can say, okay, node index.js. I already had a start, so I'll call this one start ng. By doing that on line 7, it's allowing me to have the npm start, which is a pretty conventional thing, which then Azure can look at and say, okay, this is how we start our project up. Very cool. Any questions on any of that? Sorry I couldn't show you the Azure CLI here today live, but I promise I'll do that in the very next episode once I get this computer right here set up on my machine, so we can then go ahead and show it, because that's what I did it on this morning. I've had a problem with my Mac that I'm using streaming today, which the fan's going crazy on too. Awesome. All right. So any other questions here? How about next steps? What do you all want to do next? Let's say next one, we're going to deploy to Azure. We'll do that next. We're not going to create a node API, but maybe we could set up Docker, or we could do serverless functions next. So we'll deploy to Azure next time, and then we'll also take a look at Docker and serverless functions, well, depending upon what people want to do. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter and follow me on Twitch. It's the same ID, John_Papa. And let me know on Twitter if you like this or not, and let your friends know if you guys enjoy this. Basically, I'm going to be doing Twitch once a week, at least, and I will try to keep it every Wednesday at 2 o'clock like this. And if there's any ideas of things you would like to go over that I'm not covering, let me know what those are, and I will put those on the future list. Obviously, we got a bunch of ideas already. There's a bunch of other things I'd like to do too, like maybe build a Vue app, kind of make a new Vue app too. We can add in Cosmos DB. I think it'd be kind of cool, like a Cosmos DB cloud database. Show how that works. Basically, anything you want to know how to do, I'm going to figure it out, and we can do it together live if that works for you. And I'm going to try to keep all these streams to about 90 minutes or less. And hey, thank you everybody for coming. This is a lot of fun for me. And it's live, so you get to see all the good things that work and the things that don't work. And of course, if you want to get to the code, let's go out to the GitHub repo again. Everything is up in this repo called Tour Heroes Twitch in GitHub. Did I push the code from today? No. So let's go do that now. So here, what did I add? Oh, npm start. And let's push it up to master. I didn't make a branch, so usually I do, and then I merge them. But today we didn't do that. We'll go up to GitHub. You can grab everything I did from this repo, as long as that says, yeah, there we go. 17 seconds ago, last commit. So everything's up in GitHub. Go ahead and grab it, have fun, and please follow me on Twitter and on Twitch, and have yourselves a great week.